Hi there, I'm Hannah. I'm the community educator here at the Hopland Research and Extension Centre, and I hope maybe you've just been for a lambing field trip here. So the field trips that we run in the winter offer folks the chance to meet our baby lambs and see our sheep and see where this wool actually comes from. Now, if you have come on a field trip, you will have been sent home with a little goodie bag, and if you haven't been on a field trip, this video might still be fun for you because you can buy these materials in most craft stores. So in your goodie bag, you will find a little bit of wool. It may well look more like this, straight off the sheep. And we don't really have any blue or pink sheep here. Most of them are grey or white. So you might quite like to dye that wool into a colour. And in your goodie bag, you will find a small pack of a drink mix that's not for drinking, it's actually for you to use to dye the wool. So to do that, it's pretty simple. You just pop your wool into a bowl with a little bit of water, and with that dye mix, with that drink mix, which we're going to use as dye. And then just mix it together so the wool is mixed in with the dye. Don't squish it about too much because sometimes that starts to make it felt, which is what we're going to do today. So just gently mix it. And then you're going to leave it for about an hour or so. Sometimes a good way to do it is even to put it in a little plastic baggie, and then you can put the drink mix and the wool in and just squish them together a little bit and leave it for about an hour. When you come back to it, you should find that that wool has started to take on the colour of the drink mix. Okay, once you've done that, you're going to want to leave it to dry. You can even just wash out the drink mix a little bit and then leave it to dry. And then you should end up with a piece of wool that looks a little bit like this. So this one has been dyed with a lime flavoured drink mix. You have to use the no sugar variety when you're doing this. Okay, so it's just a little bit green, got some interesting bits and pieces in there. And the first step to make our wool ball today, which is what we're going to do, a wet felted woolen ball, we are going to use the wool. You are also going to need some hot water, just hot to touch, not too hot, not so hot you can't touch it, just warm from the faucet, some cold water, and also either a bar of soap or some dish soap. Now, the soaps that you're using, try not to use ones with too many extra chemicals in. Try not to use ones with lots of scent in them. They don't tend to work so well for doing the felting. So you have your piece of wool, and what you want to start doing, it doesn't need to be too big, just about kind of the shape of your hands. Make sure it's fluffy. You want it to look a bit like a cloud. Be like one piece of wool that's like a fluffy cloud. And to do that, you know, you can just use your hands to kind of fluff it up. So if you find any bits that look like they're kind of like a tangle, just use your fingers to open them up a little bit. Now, for those who work with wool, they often use some special brushes to do this. But since we're doing it at home, we're just going to do it the easy way with our fingers. Okay, I feel pretty happy about that. There aren't too many knots in here. And also sometimes you find some of the things that the sheep had in the field with it, like a little bit of straw. So just take those out too. You don't want those in your ball. Once you've got it nice and fluffy like a cloud, you are going to start the process of making it into a ball. So very gently roll it around in your hands. Now at this point it's still dry, but you're just kind of getting the feeling for it. So you're trying to make your hands into like a little cave wrapped around it, and imagine it's like a, I don't know, a delicate, like a baby bird or something, and you're very, very gentle with it. And once you've got that kind of shape of a ball, you can actually put it into the hot water. I'm putting it right into the hot water, keeping it the shape of a ball, and just rubbing a little bit of soap around the edges of it. Okay, once you've done that, keep rolling. But remember, something very gentle and fragile. So you're doing it very gently as you go. Keep rolling. And this takes some patience, okay? So you might be here for a while. The more you roll it, the more of a ball it's going to turn into. I'm going to put this back in the hot water. Keep rolling. I'm going to move it over to the cold water. So if you've ever had like a sweater that maybe somebody put in the wash and it was on too high a temperature and then it got too small because it shrunk, That's exactly what we're doing here right now. So we're felting the wool, it's shrinking the fibers, and they're going to come together to make a little ball. Now as we're doing this, so you can see already it's starting to change. Now you'll also see I have a few little folds in there. That's okay. Every ball is going to look a little bit different, but if you're worried about them, you can always lay a little bit of wool across it. So if you start to feel like, oh, that one's a bit too much, you can just lay a bit more wool around it, and that's going to help it come together. Okay, so just keep up that process of rolling it, and fairly quickly you'll start to feel that it stops feeling quite so delicate and like a cloud. It starts to feel a bit more solid, and as it feels more solid, you can get tougher with it. So you can see now I'm not treating it like a fragile baby bird anymore. I'm actually getting quite rough with it. So you can start rolling it round in your palms a little bit tougher, a little bit rougher. Try and keep that shape of a ball though, or else it does end up a bit like a pancake. Okay? And the more you do this, the tighter it'll become. So my one just is starting to feel like it's becoming into a ball. Let's keep going. It does take time and patience. And then you'll see here some examples of other balls that people have made on visits here with school field trips. So every one of them looks a little bit different. They have sometimes little folds in them, little creases. Sometimes they don't. And you can use them for all different things. So you could put them perhaps on a necklace, or you could use them in your dryer. They can be used as dryer balls to help your clothes not stick together too much. You could just use them as a ball just to play with. So there's lots of ways that you can use these. Now when you've finished, my one still needs a little bit more work, I think. Yes, definitely needs a little bit more work, but don't be, sometimes this is what they end up coming out as, and that's okay. Keep wrapping the wool around it, keep rolling it, and you will get there. When you've finished, put it in a nice, warm, dry place for it to dry out fully, and then you should be able to come back to it in a day and find a nice ball to be playing with. Okay, we really enjoyed having you out here at the Hopland Research and Extension Centre, and hope you come back to visit the lambs next year. Thanks so much.